Dear colleagues, do you hear me? I think we are ready to start. We are welcoming you in our webinar, which is called Organization of Medical Assistants on Remote Industrial Sites. I will moderate today's session. If you have any problems, I mean technical problems, you don't hear or something else, you can write us in a chat. I will look and we will try to solve this problem. Our today webinar is organized by Institute of Remote Healthcare, or InnoZdrav. That is an independent expert association operating in 3 areas: scientific research, education, and consulting. The first area is research, in order to develop a modern and effective system for protecting the health of personnel at remote industrial sites. It's not only the provision of medical care, but the provision of safe and comfortable life during work period. The prevention of diseases, injuries, psychological and physical disorders. The second area is the development of educational programs for medical specialists working in remote healthcare. And the last area, the consulting one, includes a variety of consultations on assessing the effectiveness of medical activities, modern methods for assessing health risks, developing targeted programs for the prevention of major diseases, and a number of others. The topic of our session is, as I called before, organization of medical assistance on remote industrial sites. Nowadays, as you know, the provision of qualified and in-time medical assistance is a question of high importance, especially for remote locations. Creating a complex system of occupational health care could bring a lot to sustainable development and economic growth of the companies. Today, our experts from Russia and Vietnam will share their professional experience in this field. Now, a few words about agenda. We will have 4 speakers. Each report will be up to 10 minutes. If you got any questions, please write them in the chat. After each report, we will have time for 1 or 2 questions to discuss, and all the rest questions can be discussed after our session. If you are not speaking, please switch off your microphone. And as I told you before, if you have any technical problems, also please use the chat in Zoom. Let's start. Our first speaker is Andrei Karpov, Doctor of Medicine, PhD, Professor, the President of Association of Remote Healthcare, and he will present the report Occupational Health Examination System, Risk Groups and Monitoring of the Condition at Remote Sites, Health Preservation Programs. Andrei, you're welcome.
Dear colleagues, good day. I'd like to thank you for participating in today's conference from experts of Institute of Remote Healthcare. In my report, I'll try to represent how we see the condition for creation effective and modern system of health protection of personnel of industrial enterprises, and first of all, personnel of remote industrial sites. Formulated our principles, we proceed from the statement that a high level of employees' health is a basic indicator of a successful socially oriented industrial company. In our opinion, the main components of a modern strategy for protection the health of personnel at remote industrial sites are: modern scientifically grounded system for assessing the health status of personnel of industrial enterprise, formation of risk groups among personnel and their monitoring, The level of training of medical specialists. Ongoing system for health risk assessment of employers. Reliable medical evacuation algorithm and information resource containing medical and occupational data on personnel of industrial enterprises. So, today's modern system for assessing the health status of personnel includes assessment of the prevalence of risk factors for the development of the most important disease in various groups. The use of diagnosis methods with proven effectiveness in medical examinations. Assessment of the reserve capacity of the organism and persons with risk factors. And finally, formation of a highly informative diagnostic algorithm for various groups. The next component, formation risk groups among personnel at the monitoring, contains the following activities. Analysis of existing risk factors dependent on gender, age, group of diseases, formation of risk groups for a specific group of diseases, and recommendations for correcting existing abnormalities, assessing its effectiveness. The third component is the level of training of medical specialists. It's a very important issue because today there is no one opinion in the world about what set of knowledge and skills a medical specialist should have a remote site. Of course, these specialists must have the skills to provide emergency care according to international protocols. Besides, the medical specialists must have a basic knowledge concerning two risk factors of most important disease, principles for the prevention of infectious disease and their spread. The importance of this was shown by the current epidemic. Types of psychological and mental disorders and methods of their corrections. Occupational disease, industrial and general hygiene, physical recovery techniques. Ongoing system for health risk assessment of employers includes whole complex of factors having a negative impact on the health of employers. Assessment of the intensity and duration of negative factors exposure. Assessment of the collective and individual protective equipment effectiveness. And monitoring of the level of risk and implementing measures aimed at risk minimizing. Just a moment. Medical evacuation is quite an important link in the medical care system. In our opinion, reliable medical evacuation algorithm assumes availability of a clearly defined list of indicators for evacuation, the presence of an evacuation plan agreed with all participants, medical center at the remote industrial site, consulting center, and other. Existence of a valid mechanism for obtaining information of the final diagnosis and treatment outcome by the medical service provider. The latter provision is very important since it allows to assess the level of training of medical personnel at the remote site and the validity of the decision to conduct an evacuation. And finally, it is extremely important to assess the dynamic of the health status of personnel and the effectiveness of the current health protection system is the availability of an information resource, which is a constantly operating system for collecting, clarifying, and analyzing information about employers. For realization of this aim, the following data should be collected: identification information, information about occupational activities, medical information, and information on behavioral and hereditary risk factors. Thus, we consider that compliance with the mentioned above conditions will allow to prevent undesirable situations and avoid its negative consequences. In practice, this is realized in the reduction of socio-economic and reputational losses associated with mobility, disability, and premature mortality of personnel. Thank you for your attention. If you have any question, I'll try to answer. Thank you.
Dear colleagues, you can write your questions in a chat if you have any. If not, we can follow up.
Questions?
Yeah, sure. You are welcome.
I have one question in Vietnamese, and you can translate in Russian. I see the translator from Vietnam.
Yes, Miss Lin will help you.
Yes, our colleague can.
Okay. Tôi xin hỏi một câu là trong cái báo cáo của ông Andre KHauE có nói đến việc là đánh giá cái nguy cơ của người công nhân ở những vùng nguy hiểm, mà đây là trong trường hợp đây là sản khoan. Cái đấy là đánh giá ban đầu tôi thấy là rất tốt rồi.
I'm sorry, someone is talking. I can't hear the answer. I can hear the question.
Yes, because somebody not turn off microphone.
Can you hear me in Vietnamese? Hello?
Yes. Okay.
Em nghe được không?
Yes. Vâng ạ.
Thế thì anh hỏi câu là trong cái báo cáo của ông ấy thì để đánh giá cái sức khỏe cho cái người làm công nhân ở những cái vùng giàn khoan mà gọi là vùng nguy hiểm này ấy, thì cái bản đánh giá ban đầu của ông vào thì là rất tốt rồi, rất rõ để đánh giá người ta sẽ có nguy cơ gì trong quá trình làm việc. Thế nhưng câu hỏi ở đây là muốn là cái đánh giá lặp lại thường là 6 tháng một lần, hay là thường xuyên, hay có một cái hệ thống theo dõi để cảnh báo sớm trước khi có những cái dấu hiệu về bệnh đấy, để mình có thể đảm bảo được cái sức khỏe lao động của công nhân không?
Vâng ạ, em nghe thấy câu hỏi rồi ạ.
Em gì
Алло, да. Андрей Карпов, вы меня слышите, да? Вопрос у доктора Бинг. Он спрашивает, в вашем репорте есть там оценка риска для каждого работника то есть офшор проект. Поэтому он сказал, что вначале как бы ваша оценка очень хорошо, у него вопрос в том, что как вот эта оценка, проверка будет проходить там 6 месяцев, там, через 6 месяцев или через год, или у вас есть системы, которые проследуют или там посмотрят, то есть есть система, которая исследует риска для работников.
Лин, я понял. Вы мне поможете перевести ответ, да?
Да, конечно, да.
Окей. Значит, мы считаем, что сначала нужно провести комплексную оценку риска в исходном состоянии. Можете перевести это?
Ага. Вы говорите полностью.
Okay.
Да.
Значит, мы должны получить информацию о производственных факторах риска, которые действуют на определенные группы персонала. Мы должны оценить распространенность факторов риска наиболее значимых заболеваний в различных группах персонала. И после этого оценить риск для здоровья различных групп персонала. После этого, в зависимости от полученных результатов, мы формируем определенные группы. И по отношению к ним уже разрабатываем конкретные рекомендации по профилактике профессиональных и других наиболее значимых заболеваний.
Я могу как бы сообщить ответ. Это в том, что вы будете как бы проводить сначала исследования на исходные данные, а потом вы сгруппируете их по каждому группу. И по этим каждому группу вы даете конкретные рекомендации.
Да, совершенно. Да, совершенно правильно.
Chú Bình ạ, vâng ạ, câu trả lời của ông Andrei Karpov, ông ấy bảo rằng là đầu tiên thì ông ấy sẽ bắt đầu là sẽ theo dõi cái quá trình, tức là nó sẽ theo dõi quá trình bằng dữ liệu gốc ạ. Tức nó sẽ có một cái dữ liệu gốc ở trên hệ thống, và sau đó là sẽ chia nó ra thành những cái nhóm, tức là những cái nguy cơ khác nhau dành cho các công nhân của mình, và tùy vào những cái nhóm như thế, tùy vào cái nhóm như vậy thì sẽ đưa ra cho mỗi một người công nhân là từng một cái recommendation, tức là một cái khuyến cáo riêng cho họ.
Okay, большое спасибо.
Okay, you're welcome.
Any other questions? So as I see, nobody wanna ask the questions, so we can continue. And our next speaker is Dmitry Donskov, CCM Medical Director. And the report is Medical Assistance, Conditions for an Effective Medical Evacuation. Dmitry, you are welcome. Dmitry?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Just a second. Okay, I think I need to... here we are.
Hello, next presentation is my presentation, yeah? No, sorry.
Okay, colleagues. Yeah, I think we can start now.
Okay.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. So today I'll talk about the important part of the remote healthcare,
Yes.
which is the medical emergency response, in particular, medical emergency evacuation. To make our response more structural and understandable for all involved parties, we usually prepare the document which describes the whole process of medical evacuation from industrial site. Let's talk about medical emergency response plan. I'll use the acronym MERP as a shorter name of medical emergency response plan. MERP, medical emergency response plan. It is a system of interactions between various structural divisions of remote industrial and production sites of the companies, medical institutions, aviation services, and other involved agencies, aimed at ensuring the provision of medical care of an injured or sick worker to the most suitable medical facility for provision of high quality medical service. The main goal of MERP is to minimize the severity of the consequences of an accident or acute illness to the health of workers. MERP discloses the objectives of the documents and describes the medical evacuation process. The procedure of the designing of MERP should be developed and adopted by the provider of the medical service, which in our case is medical provider, contractor. And MERP design is usually developed and approved internally. So this is internal document. Let's talk now about the main components of the MERP, of the Medical Emergency Response Plan. First one is definition of basic concepts, goals, and tasks. Second part is descriptional part. And third part is the part with the contact information. Talking about the main definitions of the Medical Emergency Response Plan, we can choose the main ones, let's say. First one is primary evacuation, which is the first phase of medical evacuation from the site clinic or the place where accident happens to the closest medical facility. Usually, together with this definition, we use another one, which is medical facility for primary stabilization. In our case, this is closest place of medical excellence. Another definition we use following the primary evacuation is secondary evacuation. which is a second phase of medical evacuation. And usually this is evacuation from the primary hospital to the more specialized healthcare facility. And together with it, we use the term medical facility for further treatment. On this slide, you can see the scheme, which describes the timing of the whole process of the medical evacuation, from the beginning till the final hospitalization to the healthcare facility. The first definition I would like to put our attention to is first aid care. You can see it's like a first phase from 0 to 4 minutes, you know. This is the first, let's say, leg of the scheme. Second one is from 4th minute to 20 minutes. This is qualified pre-hospital care, which will be delivered by the doctor or paramedic on site, and it's normally during 20 minutes since the beginning of the case. 1 hour is the time from the beginning till we deliver the patient to the qualified healthcare facility. So, and we use this definition and we name it as the golden hour or rule of the golden hour. So this is very timely and very important to deliver the qualified health care during this first hour after the accident. Then next one is the specialized and high-tech assistance up to 4 hours, from 1 hour to 4 hours. This is the transportation or medical evacuation to the specialized healthcare facility. Let's say a few words about the remoteness. So this is quite important for us to let's say, to define, is this construction site remote one or, let's say, not remote site. Definition of remote is up to 4 hours of evacuation under the favorable conditions. And if we transport the patient more than 4 hours, we use the definition of extremely remote site. So this is the guaranteed more than 4 hours of evacuation, even under favorable conditions. Under unfavorable conditions, it can exceed even more than 24 hours and more. Descriptional part of the MERP contains the following elements: geographical description of the region and maps of the area, detailed description of the primary evacuation process, secondary evacuation process, description of existing medical infrastructure at a remote industrial site, description of equipment and provision of medicines for the medical clinic at the industrial site, scheme of informing of the responsible persons, evacuation scheme, taking into account the choice of the evacuation method, distances and time frames, directions of evacuation, a list of the main medical facilities that receive the patients. Contact information is a very important part of the MERP. And we usually have there the following information: contact details of the contractor's emergency response system, which is obviously contact details of the medical provider, of the people involved in the emergency healthcare. Contact details of the customer and persons who make decisions regarding the implementation of the medical evacuation after receiving the recommendations of the contractor. So, contact details of the remote industrial sites, of course, higher management, emergency services available on site, safety engineers, etc. and contact details of the emergency response services of the region in which the industrial site is located. Also, this is important to have the contact details of the medical clinic at the remote industrial site, contact details of medical institutions for each stage of medical evacuations, which is normally the hospitals, contact details of organizations and services responsible for the activation and provision of transportation services in case of medical evacuation, contact details of airports, sea or river ports. It's important to know and include in MRP the following information about the available transport options that can be used to carry out primary or secondary medical evacuation. We're talking about the following: ambulance, car, ship or boat, helicopter, airplane, commercial airplanes or charter flights, jet aircraft, air ambulances, and the availability of the helipad and the possibility of lifting the patient on board of the helicopter should be specified for each specific case and for each specific company, because not every helicopters company do have the helicopters available for the lifting of the patient from the ground to the board of the helicopter. Development of the MRP is an integral part of the healthcare system of the manufacturing and industrial companies and should be as an obligatory part of comprehensive medical care system at any remote production site. I think this is not necessary to explain that during the emergency, everyone should know what to do, know the time limits, who to call, etc. And having all relevant information collected in one document is extremely important, efficient, and finally, safe for the patient. Thank you, colleagues. So if you have any questions, you are more than welcome to ask me.
Thank you, Dmitry, for such an interesting report. Yes, we got one question from Professor Karpov. So I can write the question. Do you have an experience in organizing medical help at remote sites in case of mass trauma situations or mass cases?
Okay, so yeah, I think the answer is yes. In this case, we're talking mass casualty incident. The abbreviation or acronym for this situation is MCI, which is a case where we have a lot of patients, coming at one time because of the accident or because of something happening on site, mass casualty incident, so MCI. Yes, we developed the system of the preparations for the MCI on several sites, so we know what we should do to get our medical staff and to get the client prepared for such kind of events. Of course, it involves additional resources outside of the industrial site. We had to contact with a lot of hospitals, surrounded clinics, and summarize all the available resources in the region, so to include them into the plan for mass casualty incident. So yeah, it's a hard work, to make it working, but we were able to manage such plans, on the remote sites.
Okay, thank you for that. So I think we don't have any questions. Thank you. Now we can continue. Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah,
Okay,
Dr. B, you are welcome.
yeah, for your very interesting presentation. And I have just one question. During your presentation, you mentioned about golden hours. That's very important for us. And my question coming to a little detail. In the case of heat stroke, and do you have any special measurement during the golden hours for the patient? Heat stroke.
Okay, heat stroke or stroke?
Heat stroke, overheat.
Heat stroke.
Yeah, heat stroke.
And the question is, do we have any kind of protocol or what?
Protocol you have, but during the transportation, you have special protocol for this case?
You know, the answer is yes. Of course, you know, for different regions, you know, we do have a different, let's say, protocols. For instance, in Vietnam,
cooling. How can you cool the patient during the transportation?
You know, we normally stabilize the patient in the clinic, you know, before we transport, you know. Once we get the patient in the clinic, we of course assess the medical condition of the patient. So, and if patient is not stable, we will try to use different methods to make it cooling. We just use the ice packs. We just use the water and fans, you know, to make the body temperature lower. So, and once we get the patient stabilized, we then continue to transport the patient using the ambulance. It's not so easy to provide the effective cooling during the transportation because of the limitations of the space inside of the ambulance, you know. That's why we normally do the cooling before we start the transportation to the healthcare facility.
Okay, thank you very much. Very clear. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the question. Good one.
Thank you, colleagues. It was a very fruitful discussion. So our next speaker is Vu Hoc Binh, the president of Dr. Binh Teleclinic, medical doctor, doctor of medicine, chairman of Vietnam Telehealth Resource Center. So, Dr. Binh, you are welcome.
Yeah, the first, Aaron, I would like to say thank you very much for inviting me to attend at this. I believe it's a very interesting topic for our countries. And большое спасибо, всего хорошего, добрый день. In my clinic, every day you are very happy to welcome about 100 outpatients in my clinic every day. And about 20% from them are our international customers. And from at my office, Vietnam Telehealth Resources Center, we try our best for a long time to develop the healthcare service application. And now I am going to explain to you, the question is, what is the effective telehealth solution in Vietnam, in my country now? In the next 10 minutes, maybe more, I try to explain to you from what about increasingly high demand on telehealth in Vietnam, and my overview about the current situation in Vietnam regarding to telehealth, and our application Medihome, we believe is one of leading solution in telehealth. And in conclusion, I give 4 suggestions to share with you about our experiences. You know already in Asia country, the population is aging very rapidly. Until 2050, there are about 1.3 billion people over 60 years old. And the number of doctors in these countries is still very limited. There are about 0.8 doctors per 1,000 people. In comparison with global average is 1.5. It's very, very limited. And for personal medical device, it's good market now in Asian country and is in the future. We are expected to continue to grow up 41% annually, and until 2024 should be nearly $9 billion for this market. Personalized medical care and treatment anytime, anywhere seem to be very significantly tendency. There are three main groups they can apply using telehealth application successful. The first one is a high-risk group. All the people working at a high-risk environment, as you presented before, in extremely condition, anyway from medical facilities, and the people with several background disease, something like history of stroke and several chronic disease. The second, the other group is medium risk group. All people, the people living and working far from medical facilities, and now in epidemic zone, COVID-19. And the other groups, anyone they understand for the regular health check, and they need chronic disease management. Vietnam before 2018, our people, our public, they did not fully trust telehealth yet. They did not have a habit to checking, monitoring regular their health situation. If they have very simple health situation, they come directly to the public hospital. They don't know about family doctors. Government and health services provider, no policy for developing telehealth care, even licenses, and very limited media attention for telehealth, and sometimes the confusing between two concepts, telemedicine and telehealth. Telemedicine is from medical facility to medical facility. Telehealth is directly from the doctor to the patient. And overlooked public hospitals, limited knowledge about telehealth. That's why they did not pay attention enough. Our physicians not trained in using telehealth technology seem to be lack confidence to apply it. And for telehealth developer, they developed only the technology and depend too much on the third party, that is for doctors. Could not control the quality of services for their application. The developer is asynchronous application. But even so, it still has economic efficiency. That get a lot of money. From 2019 to now, plus the impact of SARS-CoV-2, our public more and more trust for the telehealth services technology, and they're more aware of the importance of periodically personal health check, and chronic disease management. Our authorities and our service provider, they now is researching to issue policies for telehealth. I think it's the next year and next few years. Our media coverage shifted focus on telehealth care services, and health facility reduced the number of patients going to hospital due to COVID-19, and more interest in the technology for telehealth. And still many limitations in implementing telehealth technology due to lack of training received by physicians. And now is our telehealth developer. They get the first step, we call a Lego-based step for developing these healthcare services. And they are encouraged by authorities for telehealth solution research now. In combination with Dr. Bing Teleclinic, our telehealth research center, Vietnam Telehealth Center, we found the 8 key success factors during the last time. The first one, we believe, with the pioneer unit at the field of multi-platform development and telehealth application software in Vietnam, using AI technology in analyzing medical records and indicators to warn doctor and our patient. We have a strong developer team under medical expertise, and now it's nearly more than 5 years already. Our application seems to be a simple, easy to use, and synchronous solution. Our professional team of experts and doctors across 13 specialties. We have nurse, operators, 24/7 call center, and you are trying for the professional skill, proficiency in IT, and especially skilled in counseling, diagnosis, treatment via video call and call. And we believe now we try our best to the first online polyclinic. And the fifth point, we're building an internationally standardized system, secure data center, transmission line, and call center system, and integrating smart personal health monitoring devices. Build an alliance of prestigious clinics with synchronized telehealth application nationwide, and media coverage, collaborating with the National Assembly TV channel and Radio 365 FM and social media platform. So we spread information widely to our entire public. In together for this slide, I would like to say, with success, thousands of cases have been successfully consulted, examined, treated to our Medihome system now. You can see here for the success telehealth platform, we have Medihome platform for the individual and for foreign medical facilities. We have 365 doctor Baxi in Vietnamese to medical facilities. And we have 365 Medihome in cooperation with our National Assembly TV channel and radio network 62.7 FM. The benefits of Medihome is we analyze, synthesis, storage of personal health record for whole life. We monitoring personal health status with treatment, consultation, testing, and treatment. Emergency, remote emergency medical assistant, management chronic disease, and occupational disease. For occupational disease, we would like to learn a lot of your presentation already. And we support insurance, first aid, caring of 6 people at home, pharmacies, and hospital. You can see here our TV show from last night. We have done 2 times per week. We directly from our television program, we can talk to patients and encourage patients to more understand our telehealth, and they go to telehealth with Medihome. I can say to do the effective remote consultation with doctor requires some points below. The information and personal medical record. We say medical history. You know already slogan, international slogan. Why keeping the same doctor can help you life longer. Our tendency we do with this slogan. The understanding of patient characteristic, same doctor, same system. Personal medical device for measuring, and advanced technology to assess doctor-patient communication by smartphone. You can see here is Medihome service network. You install your mobile application very easy now, and everyone get this one. You can contact with us and with our telehealth center, and together with the other medical service facilities. With Dr. Bin Teleclinic, and you can get a high quality in national chains, and even with CCM clinics in Russia. And this here, I think, is very successful network now and its next future. You can see here some very good feedback from our patient. Because we have no time, you can see in our presentation. Now, let me go to conclusion. I have 4 suggestions. The first one, telehealth is an indispensable technology for all people, for medical facilities, and for society. Application platform, healthcare service provider, and government need to work together closely to bring the many benefits of telehealth to the public. I believe that. The first one, all people, especially those in high-risk groups, should definitely learn more about the tech advantage of telehealth technology for better protection of their health and thus of their loved ones. The healthcare agency from different countries should cooperate for developing better medical services for local people as well as those traveling across national. And our telehealth teleconferencing today is one very interesting and good point. If you need, please call 190-9204 for 24/7 medical support. Thank you very much. Большое спасибо.
Maria, thank you very much.
Dr. Bin, Maria here.
Hi, yeah, sorry, I got some technical problems. So, Dr. Bin, thank you very much. You got very interesting report, and we have a lot of questions.
Yes.
So now we can ask, I guess, 1 or 2, and the rest 4 or 5 questions we will have the time after the session. Yeah. So the first question is, how do you provide the protection of personal data of patients who use the telehealth service insured?
Yes, we have 2 ways. The first one, the patient download, apply in their device, mobile, and they can send personalized data through this channel. So this channel is secured. Nobody can access for this one. Only the doctor and the patient. And they can take a picture, they can write in, they can take any from anywhere. You can load on this very simple application. You can see here this application. You can see here they can load any documentation, and you have reception from any doctor. You have examination result from anywhere. They can put here, and our doctor, I see here, I can see any result from the patient and study and keep the patient the best suggestion. Thank you for the question.
Okay, thank you. The next question is, how do users pay for their online consultation fee?
The online consultation, the people can put here the appointment to see the doctor. And the patient put here, our center can see, you have appointment. And at the real time, the patient sitting here, and we connect from point to point technology. And to see very clear, the same I see you now. And they can talk each other, and they can see the patient and talking. Okay,
very convenient.
Of course, a little bit sometimes English or Russian. We have to learn. We have some very good doctors. They studied in Russia. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Bin. We will return to the questions after the next speaker. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
So, you're welcome. We can continue. The next speaker is Sergei Yakovenko, the Deputy Development Director of CCM. And the subject of the report is using telemedicine capabilities at remote sites. Sergei, please, your report.
Okay, colleagues, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. Just a moment. Okay, Dr. Bin, thank you so much for your presentation. You talked about telehealth. I'm going to talk about telemedicine. You know, it's very similar, but thank you for explaining the difference. Okay. Okay, I hope you can see my screen now. I'm responsible for development of telemedicine support at CCM. I'm going to share my knowledge about our experience for Telemedicine Center, which was founded in Moscow in 2015. We provide telemedicine consultation 24/7 for, as you mentioned, not for the regular people, but for medical facilities. Actually, for medical personnel that work at our remote sites. We have over 120 remote sites, so we support them in terms of telemedicine consultation. We have IP telephony, video conference. We use ClearOne equipment and spontaneous software to be able to have a high resolution video streaming and good audio quality. Also, we can do call recording, so all calls are recorded for further investigation, or we can transfer these files to medical facility, to doctor, to anyone. Also, we can obtain special statistics for a month, for a week, for a year. And also we can form various reports for our medical doctors to analyze and further investigations. You know, what we do, primarily we provide telemedicine consultations of various specialized doctors. Consultation is performed upon request within 5 minutes. In average, we have over 200 consultations per month. As I mentioned earlier, sorry. I'm sorry, could you please tell me if you can hear me or not?
Yes,
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, I'm sorry, just organizer just called me for some reason. Okay, so basically, as you can see, we have various specialists, and normally how it happens, we have a doctor or paramedic that works at remote site, and sometimes he faces some difficult cases, and he needs second medical opinion. So he contacts our call center and we do our best. We can deploy a secure electronic room. We can connect a appropriate doctor and arrange a consultation for him. Besides, the video and the audio, we can also transfer graphic data, including ACG and ultrasound examination. And as a result of the consultation, we can arrange medical evacuation if needed, or we can transfer a patient to another medical facility, or we can request any other additional consultation. And our telemedicine center is a center for all kind of cooperation with ambulance services, with various hospitals, clinics, airlines. Sometimes to perform sanitary evacuation, we need the permission of local authority. So our telemedicine center contacts, requests, and receives the confirmation of local authority. Or if it's medical evac abroad, we also provide consular and visa services support. Sometimes we work with big companies that they have special insurance. We also deal with insurance services with insurance companies to provide the most appropriate help to the patient. So what's the main benefit of our telemedicine center? Number one, what we do is reduce number of evacuations. You know that evacuation is very expensive, especially if it involves helicopter or plane, medical evacuation abroad or somewhere. So what we do, we try to assist doctors which have some uncertainty regarding the diagnosis and regarding the further plan of medical evacuation. We provide our support, and we either confirm the need for medical evacuation, or we just provide remote help, remote consultation. And according to our statistics, we decreased the number of medical evacuations by 50%, just by providing proper doctor second medical opinion or consultation, or we can read ACG or ultrasound check. And besides the medical evacuation decrease, we also, by doing this, we improve the quality and access to proper medical care. So now patient can get a second medical opinion from a professor from Moscow, from, for example, Moscow Botkinsk hospital, not just an opinion of paramedic, which works at remote site. That's very important, and that highly increases our capabilities of providing high quality medical services at remote site. It's great that we provide these telemedicine services, but Russia is a huge country and we have a lot of remote sites. Normally, oil and gas is extracted remotely from remote locations somewhere in offshore or in forest. And but to provide a medical consultation, we need available internet channels to stream video and audio, and of course necessary telemedicine equipment. First of all, it's video codec, audio codecs, screen, in some cases ACG equipment and ultrasound equipment. And the main issues that sometimes we don't have this telemedicine equipment at all remote sites. Of course, it could be the reason that it's quite expensive, and it could be reason, but it's oil and gas companies. Some of them are very big and have enough financial resources. Another problem, if even they have financial resources, they might lack internet, just a stable internet connection or even telephone connection. That can be a huge issue for us, unfortunately. But it's 21st century, so we have more and more locations having internet. That's a good news, and it's good news also for telemedicine and for telehealth as well. And the last point, the last problem, it's a lack of well-developed structure for medical evacuation. So sometimes local responsible people don't know in which cases they provide medical evacuation and in which they don't. So they don't have a structured document, some principles, and that can be issue. So sometimes you have to call them and convince and explain that it's extreme case, and if you don't provide the medical evacuation, patient will die. And most of the time we find the right words and we save patients. And we're very happy about this. So that's probably, you know, the main our goal, to save patients, to provide high quality medical services, even for people who live remotely, like so remote that they even can't reach the local hospital, but they can call us and we can try to do our best for them. So thank you for your attention. I'll be happy to take several questions now or later, because I know Dr. Bin's presentations was very popular. We got many questions. So thank you.
Thank you, Sergey. Very useful and important information. You got one question from Dr. Karpov. What can you say about structure of reasons of medical evacuation? What class of diseases is leader, or is it traumas?
Yes, so the main, of course, it's like trauma and cardiovascular diseases, and so that's a top two. I think it's universal for all of them, and cardiovascular is number one. It's a top reason for these medical evacuations, and this leads to the question of pre-medical pre-shift examination. So why these diseases were not verified by the customer, and why this person was sent to remote site. And the solution can be the audit and other check services of proper organization, like Institute of Remote Healthcare. I know they have a special standards. They have a kind of audit service that can assist big oil and gas companies in developing the system and actually in doing the pre-shift examinations, etc. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions?
Yes, Dr.
Oh yeah, sure, Dr. Ben.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Yakovenko, for your interesting presentation. There is something similar to my topics. I learned from your presentation a lot too, but I have just a very small technical question. Is you demonstrate for the telehealth care using for the ECG, electrocardiograph picture I have seen, and this real-time ECG or just ECG image?
I'm sorry, I got some technical problems. Could you please come again?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear now, but for a moment I just heard some noise coming from my.
Now let me repeat my question.
Thank you.
My question is a very technical question. From your presentation, I seen the picture from electrocardiograph from patient.
That's correct.
This one is image of real-time electrocardiograph.
It is actually the real-time ACG graph. You can see. Of course, if remote site has this kind of equipment, that was one of my points, that some of them unfortunately don't have it. If they do, that allow us to provide a high quality consultation, because we have a doctor who specializes in cardiology, so he can read it and advise if something is not clear or confusing. He can clarify, and yeah, so it's a real-time online ACG and ultrasound as well.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
As I see, there is no more questions.
Okay.
Yes. So Sergey, thank you. Thank you for the topic, for the answers.
Okay, thank you.
Now we can continue with the questions and with the discussion about the topic Dr. Bean has presented. We have many questions, and let me read one of them. Some of them are about application. So, Dr. Bean, could you clarify about application? Does it has English language interface, or can foreigners use this application? And the same question is about the Russian version.
Our publication now is just in Vietnamese, and we going to develop in the other languages. And this application we can use, you can go to the apply from the store in your phone. You can download very easy. You just write Medihome, and for 1 minute, you download application in your phone, and you do some for security for yourself, and you can connect directly with us. And you can send our message, you can give a question, you can send your medical records, and you can do the appointment to see, and you can, I think you can do everything secured just only for you and the doctor. And all the data you send to us and allow us to store this data for a long time, because then our doctor need to comparison between this examination to the examination to give the best suggestion for our patient. And we have big data. We can store all of detail from our customers for a long time. And in the other way, we have not only, we have a polyclinic online, so we have many facilities. When you have a big problem with patient, you cannot keep the patient the best advice. We can connect the other doctor from the other hospital. We make very small conferencing to do the best for our patient. And even when our patient, they have a problem, we can provide where they can go closely to their home to get a first medical support. Even you can keep the information when you have to go medication, where they can go to the closest. We can trust pharmacy to go to get medication. When we finish our consultation with the patient, we write down, and you can see not voice, you can see the writing in your home, your telephone, the mobile. And we close our diagnosis and the treatment, you can see exactly in your mobile phone. So very easy for patient to follow up to treatment. And when a lot of people, they have a chronic disease, for example, hypertension, for the first treatment, for the first drug, maybe blood pressure coming down and up, and they can keep the daily reason from blood pressure and keep our center, and our doctor can see the result from that. He can advise immediately for the patient to prevent very serious from not good from the medication and from the first treatment. This is our we do now. We can do that. Thank you for questions.
Okay, thank you. The next one is in Vietnamese and in English also. Which language do you prefer? Okay, I will ask you in English. Which foundation has video call run on?
Foundation. This
Yeah.
we do by ourselves. We have a good team for IT team. We develop ourselves, and we can customize ourselves. We can do from beginning, and we using for the high technology from point to point, P2P, to see very exactly, very clear our patient, and the voice and very clear, and the message sent very smoothly. Because we have a good team for the IT, for technology.
Okay, thank you. The last question is, do you think Medihome's features will be developed far more to meet customer requirements?
Sorry?
Do you think Medihome's features will be developed far more to meet customer requirements?
Of course, because now we share our application Medihome for all medical facilities in Hanoi, in Vietnam, and they customize for the each one, and they connect each others. They can keep, everyone keep security for themselves, but what they can share, they can share. But we have network for the Medihome for the all medical facilities. Now, next time we develop in the other languages to help the people. Now we do is for the free. But for free does mean you require the patient connect to the Medihome. You get benefit after that. The patient come to you more and they get your medical services more. And I think it's good for the future. And in Vietnam is our Minister of Health. They do now the process for the legal for the developer like us to get the money from the insurance system. But I think it's for next year, but not yet. You do free.
Okay, very good plans. Thank you, Dr. B. That was the last question. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I would like to thank all the participants at our webinar. We hope that this information was useful for you, for your business, and it will help you to develop and to go further. You can see on the slide the contacts of our representative, of the president of InnoZdrav. Please don't hesitate to answer any questions. It will help us to develop a mutual cooperation. Also, please find the link to in a chat. It's a very short review. We would like to ask you your impressions about the webinar. Also, we would like to ask you the topics which are important for you and which you would like to discuss in the next webinars. So please spend 1 or 2 minutes to answer this review. We will be very grateful. So thank you very much, and we are waiting for you on our next sessions. Thank you.
До свидания.
До свидания.
Всего хорошего.
Всего хорошего.
Bye bye. Bye bye.
Can join us. So if you want, you can introduce yourself, say your name and which company you represent. Dmitry, if you try to speak, your mic is mute. We cannot hear you.
Dear colleagues,